It was late on a foggy autumn evening when Detective Michael Hawke, a seasoned veteran of the city's criminal investigations, found himself driving through one of the city's darkest neighborhoods. The area, once vibrant and full of life, had become notorious for crime, drug deals, stolen cars, and worse, disappearances. He'd been assigned to investigate a string of missing persons cases, but something felt different about tonight. His instincts, honed over 20 years on the job, were screaming at him to be extra cautious. As he pulled into the street, his headlights illuminated the silhouette of an abandoned house. It had always caught his attention during his patrols. The house was large, run down, and abandoned for years, except for the strange occurrences that had plagued it. People often spoke about the house in hushed tones, claiming they'd heard strange noises late at night, or seen shadowy figures in the windows. But Michael knew the stories were likely just the result of the neighborhood's decay and desperation. Still, tonight something felt off. He parked his car in front of the house, checking his watch. It was nearly 2 a.m. He grabbed his flashlight and stepped out, the sound of his boots hitting the cracked sidewalk echoing in the silence. The fog seemed thicker here, swirling unnaturally. His breath came out in short puffs as he walked toward the front door, which hung loosely on its hinges. The house's dark windows stared back at him like empty eyes, unblinking. He pushed the door open, its creaking groan sending a chill down his spine. Inside, the air was musty, heavy with dust, and the faint smell of decay. As he stepped over the threshold, his flashlight beam swept across the walls, revealing peeling wallpaper and broken furniture strewn about like forgotten memories.
Detective Hawke, right?
A voice suddenly called from behind him, causing Michael to jump. Who are you? I live around here. I saw you pull up and I figured you'd be here. The house, it's not what you think. This house, Detective, it's been here longer than anyone knows. People disappear here, but not just that. Sometimes they come back, not like they were, different, changed. People don't stay away for long, and then they're seen again, but not as they were. They never leave the house, not truly. I shouldn't be telling you this. It's dangerous, but you have to understand. This house doesn't let go. Once you enter, it takes something from you. It keeps a part of you. And people who vanish, they don't just disappear, they are changed. Something awful happens to them. Before Michael could respond, the man turned and fled into the night, vanishing into the fog. The detective stood frozen for a moment, processing the warning. But then his mind snapped back to the task at hand. He was here to investigate the disappearances. He needed answers. He moved further into the house, shining his flashlight along the walls. The air grew colder, and his skin prickled with an eerie sensation. Suddenly, a faint sound echoed from upstairs, a low thud, followed by the unmistakable sound of footsteps. Hello? The stairs creaked beneath his feet as he ascended slowly, every step feeling like it might give way beneath him. He reached the top and paused, scanning the hallway. The walls were lined with old, cracked portraits, their eyes following him as he moved. One door at the far end of the hall stood slightly ajar, a thin sliver of light escaping from within. Michael approached the door, pushing it open cautiously. The room inside was small, almost childlike in its simplicity, but something about it made his stomach churn. At the center of the room was an old ornate mirror, its frame covered in dust. As Michael stepped closer, he noticed something strange. His reflection was distorted. It wasn't just the mirror's age. Something about his image seemed wrong, as though it was no longer entirely his own. Suddenly the door slammed shut behind him and the lights flickered. "Who's there?" A chill ran down his spine as he turned back to the mirror. This time, the reflection wasn't just distorted, it was moving. The figure in the mirror wasn't mimicking his actions, it was ahead of him. It tilted its head slowly and then smiled. Michael's heart pounded in his chest as his reflection reached out from the mirror, its hand pressing against the glass. His own hand shot forward, trying to stop it, but there was nothing he could do. "We never leave." A piercing scream echoed through the house, but it wasn't his. It was the scream of someone long forgotten, someone who had once been trapped here, just like him. He stumbled backward, his breath coming in ragged gasps, but the door refused to open. The room felt smaller, the walls closing in. In the distance, faint whispers filled the air. His flashlight flickered and went out. He was no longer alone. He could hear footsteps now, slow, deliberate, approaching him from every direction. Suddenly, everything went silent. The temperature in the room plummeted. Michael's breath came out in visible clouds, and then for a fleeting moment, the whispers stopped. But as his flashlight blinked back to life, there in the reflection of the mirror stood a new figure. Michael Hawke was no longer looking at himself, and the house had claimed another. The end.